Good afternoon. Thank you so much, everyone who is on the call right now. And welcome to the Pivott Workshops. My name is Blake Francis. I'm the events manager at Stone & Chalk, the Stone & Chalk Group. First of all, just a couple of housekeeping and introductions. I'd like to make an acknowledgement to country. I'd like to respectfully acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land, the Boonwurrung, Boon Wurrung and Wurundjeri Woi Wurrung peoples of the Eastern Kulin Nation, and pay respect to their elders past, present and emerging. Thank you very much to them. Also, a little bit just quickly about the Pivott platform that we have. So the Pivott Workshops that we are obviously in is just a very small event and branch that we have under the Pivott program. It's supported by Launch Vic, and it supports our talent by building a pipeline of talent for our high growth startup sector. So it's a program specifically designed to offer expertise, workshops, information to help you guys get ready to enter the startup sector as the great talent as you are. A little bit about Stone & Chalk, who I obviously work for, and the rest of our team. We're Australia's home for emerging technology. Stone & Chalk was created to offer unrivaled access to the experience, knowledge, capital, capabilities, infrastructure, and guidance to help startups and scale-ups succeed, as well as transforming Australia into a sustainable, technology-driven economy. That is our purpose, that is our goal, and we have a lot of fun doing it, obviously hosting some workshops like these to try and better you guys and also for our startup companies. A little bit of just housekeeping super quickly. I've already spoken too long. This is an interactive workshop. If you have any questions, please pop them in the chat box and I'll do my best to help bring your questions to the forefront of Amy and Robert for the workshops post their content. I guess we'll do a little Q&A at the very end. Be your spokesperson on behalf of your questions. So without further ado, we can jump straight into our first workshop. This lady is absolutely amazing. Amy Bett, she's a business coach and host of the Lady Without Limits podcast. Amy, I'll throw it over to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Blake, and welcome everybody. I'm really excited to be here today to give you a short snapshot about developing your personal brand and why it's so important, especially in this day and age, to be able to be really successful in securing a job, a really great job, especially in the startup and the scale-up industry. Now, truth be told, I can't actually see who is on the training here with me today. So give me some love, say hi in the chat box. Just the way that I'm sharing my screen, I cannot see anyone. So yeah, love it if you say hi in the chat box and I can see who is here and listening with me today. But yeah, I cannot wait to give you some information about this. So what I'm going to try and cover as best I can is what is a personal brand. I'll quickly talk to you about the importance of doing a digital online audit. And I'm going to really go into your content pillars and how that can really help you with showcasing the best version of yourself. All right, so let's jump right in. I know that time is of the essence today. So I'm going to ask Neha and Blake to actually send out a link, which will give you a wider snapshot of this session if you need to go in a little bit more detail. But really, the importance of developing a personal brand is because of the digital age that we're in right now. Gone are the days where we're in the office full time. And so a lot of recruitment is happening online. And even before that, we were getting seen by potential employees before we would even make it to the interview stage. So whilst it is absolutely amazing to put together an incredible resume that showcases you on paper, you also need to be really considerate about what you're putting out there online, because people, especially employers, are going to be looking to get a gauge of who you are and what you care about and how you're dealing with your audience in the World Wide Web. And people often think that just because they are going for a job and they don't have their own business, that it's not important. But let me tell you, it absolutely is. And I'll go into a little bit more detail now, but it's a fact that a lot of people now, they buy from people. And so it's really important that organizations have incredible team members within their organization, because you are representatives of that organization. LinkedIn, a lot of times people will go to LinkedIn and search a company name. And if you have a LinkedIn profile and you say that you work for that company, that is going to come up and people are going to be searching you. So companies more than ever before are searching for team members that really stand out and that go above and beyond at putting their best foot forward and best selves forward, so that they know that they've got people that are going to not only do the work, but are also going to represent the brand in a great way. What companies really want to understand is they want to know who you are, what you actually represent, what you're putting out into the World Wide Web. And it's really important then, if they're looking for those things, and the way that they're finding it is through looking at your social media profiles and Google searches and LinkedIn, is that you really control the narrative of your online presence and that you create that brand as such. So we all need to think about ourselves. It's funny to think about, but we do need to think about ourselves as our online brand. How are we actually showing up online, and are we coming across in the best way possible? Or are we posting a lot of photos from our 20s when we're drunk at concerts and things like that? I know we all have those photos, but it's time that we really need to clean that up and think about how we want to be represented online. And the fact is that a lot of people do have private profiles for our social profiles, but don't be surprised at what gets into Google searches and image searches. So just we need to be able to clean everything up as much as possible and have a look at how we're coming across. What will actually give you the best chance of nailing an interview and securing the role? And obviously this is outside of your standard application. The things that you can do are to complete a digital audit, bring forward the best version of you through your social pages and your LinkedIn, create a personal brand profile, and highlight what makes you unique and what you value. I know that when I'm looking for team members, I'll go to their social pages and I just really want to get a great feel for who they are and what they're about. What do they care about? Are they going to actually fit into my organization? Are they like me? Am I going to actually enjoy their company? Do we have the same values? That's what we get from looking at people's social platforms. And so it's really important, as I keep saying, that we're actually showcasing it in our online platforms. So this is what I'm really going to go through today, is just give you a few hacks for how you can go and clean up your profiles, put your best self forward, and make sure that you can really stand out online and look like a leader in your industry. So I just mentioned it, but why create a personal brand? To become recognized as a leader in your industry, to give back to your community, and to build a greater sense of purpose. When you are actually really emotionally involved in what you're doing in your work and you're showcasing what you're passionate about your work, and you can have a mix of work and social life, you actually feel more fulfilled. You feel, you feel, and you also come across like you care more about your role and you're passionate about what you do. And when I say giving back to your community, you're giving back to your community because there might be people that are not as trained as you that are really looking to get more skilled in that area, or they're looking for mentors. And if you're sharing your knowledge and if you're putting yourself out there, especially talking about parts of your job role and what you love about it, and talking about some of the skills that you have, then you could be mentoring people that are looking to come in and work in the same industry as you as well. So there are a lot of great reasons to actually build a personal brand outside of even just securing the role, but actually to build you up and help you for job opportunities in the future. We always have to be thinking about where we're wanting to go overall. So by doing this, you're actually, giving yourself a head start to get further and further to where you want to get to. I want to give you a quick couple of tips. Now, first and foremost, it's a good idea to do a stock take of what is already out there. So have a look, Google yourself, have a look at your LinkedIn and social profiles, and ask yourself these questions. How am I being represented online? Am I putting my best foot forward? Do I need to delete any posts that are not professional or don't represent what I want to be known for? And the most recent images and articles and things like that are usually on the first page. So if there are a few things that you don't like, just put out a lot of content, because that is going to be the most relevant, especially if it's getting likes and shares and things. So that's going to fill up that Google search to help you filter out anything that you may not want to have on there. And then secondly, ask yourself the question is, do I need to actually create some new content that really highlights my key values and my overall mission and what I'm out here to achieve in my role working for a company, but also showing my values of my overall life as well? Because remember, I said before, employers want to get to know the whole you. They want to get to know if you're going to be a great cultural fit and share similar values to what they do, more so sometimes even than your hard skills, like your actual technical skills, the role that you're being hired to do. And so another question that you can ask is my LinkedIn profile updated with my recent career experience? And does it show my highlight reel of interests and accomplishments and career aspirations? Now, as I said before, social profiles are often on private. So LinkedIn is a really great one that you can control that narrative and put a mixture of your professional accomplishments, your work experience, and also you can share other articles of other people that you care about. Yeah, it's a good place to actually put together your professional brand, your personal brand. If you don't want people to be really looking at your Instagram page or your Facebook profile and they're on private, LinkedIn would be the place that you could really go to form your personal brand. And I'm going to give you some examples soon of how you can actually do that. And I'll give you a real life example, a case study of someone that's doing it really well, who works for an organization and they're not a business owner in themselves, which I'll do that now. So I'm going to open up, and sorry, you'll have to bear with me while I just move my screen around a little bit to show you this profile. So this is a really good example of a LinkedIn profile. Her name is Amara Bowkett. She works in wellness. So she's currently the wellbeing manager at Gateways. And actually, it's a funny story. She was at WellWeb when I did this masterclass last time. So you can see that she has actually had a career change. She's changed organizations. But the first thing that she's actually done is come and update her LinkedIn profile. And she can see that, LinkedIn really works for her with being able to put the information out there that's going to show her as a leader in her industry. And it definitely helps her to get positions in roles that she really wants. So I'm going to tell you why this particular LinkedIn profile is a really good one. So you can see it has a clear banner. It's a bit different. It's just not the standard LinkedIn banner. She has a great clear photo of herself in a casual environment, but she works in wellbeing. So for her, that works really well. Okay. You can see here that she talks about what she does. So she's a wellbeing manager at Gateways and what she really cares about. So she talks about wellness, diversity, mental health, and workplace wellbeing. She's from Geelong, and I'm going to go down here. Even though she hasn't posted recently that you can see here, you can see clearly what she's all about. Now, I'm going to read this to you just because I think it's a good example. So I'm the wellbeing manager at an incredible company, Gateways, where I focus on the mental and physical well-being of the workforce. Working as a brand manager and content curator for WellWeb was a fantastic experience. I got to work with incredible well-being professionals and touch the lives of so many when it comes to their health and well-being journey. After spending most of my career in fast-paced corporate jobs, I suffered extreme burnout and decided to take health and well-being into my own hands. I've been overwhelmed with the benefits of this change in lifestyle. I founded the Well State, formerly Rare Birds Co., with the vision to educate and inspire those around me to nourish and move their bodies to be mindful, grateful, and most of all, to live well. Now I want to spread the word to others. I've completed the graduate diploma in wellness at RMIT, and I'm thrilled to be able to share my learnings with those around me. Can you see how that just gives you a really great understanding of, one, where she works now, two, where she's worked before and some of her work experience, but three, a little bit of information into her personal life and why she works in the area and what she really cares about. And she's even thrown in there her certificate. Now, you can see that a lot of people struggle with putting all of their experience on LinkedIn, and that's what is the down further with your actual work experiences for. The about section is just to give a quick snapshot so people can understand who you are, what you're about, and they'll get a feeling of your tone of voice. So this is a really great section, the about section, to just put some time into really thinking about those things, who you are, where you work, what you care about, how you can bullet and maybe one of your qualifications. Because if you can do that, people get an overall snapshot and it's just going to really help you. It's like it's a place that someone can go get a feel for you and see if they want to get in touch with you and invite you over to the role. So I wanted to show you this LinkedIn page in particular because, and I can't see them here, but often she'll post articles and just general things that she's seen about wellness. And that is really quite, what's the word that I'm looking for? It's a good idea to do that because it's building her as a leader in the industry and showcasing what she cares about. So she's not getting forgotten. If someone asks, I need a well-being manager, they're going to think about Amara because she has actually put effort into becoming known in that space. So just say yes in the chat box if you're with me so far. And feel free to pop in the chat box as well if you have a LinkedIn at the moment and if it's been updated. Yeah, let me know if it's been updated. I'll keep moving on because time is obviously of the essence today, but I'd love to see that soon. What have we got? We've got about 15 minutes. Great. So I'm going to move on with digital audit, but really what I wanted to just make sure that you take away from what I just said is do a digital audit, have a look at your profiles, see if you need to clean them up, see if you need to create some awesome content to be able to showcase what you do and who you are. Okay. Now, a tip here is ask a trusted friend for their advice. So buy them a bottle of wine and just ask them to spend half an hour to look at your social profiles and anywhere else that you might have an online presence and just give you some feedback of what impression that they get from actually looking at your profiles. And then that just may really help you to get a good understanding about what you need to change. Because yeah, it is so important that you are showing up online in the best possible way. Now, I really want to quickly cover the 4 key elements to creating your personal brand profile. Now, you can use LinkedIn as an example, and I'm just going to really show you some quick ways to be able to up-level your LinkedIn, up-level your Instagram if you're not on private, and yeah, let's do it. Okay, so the 4 steps to building a personal brand, or the key elements, things that I think are quick, easy wins that will make a big impact. So 1, professional headshots that are clear, show your personality, make you shine. 2, create a mission statement that you can put in the about section and really help you to highlight who you are. 3, create content to showcase your knowledge, value, and skills. And then 4, create some design elements to uplift your social and LinkedIn profiles to really make you look more professional. And yeah, when you do that, it also helps people to see what you like and how you like to be put forward. Okay, so let's just dive into them super quickly. So headshots. Here are a couple of examples of clear headshots. It's a really good idea, even if it's just for the purpose of your LinkedIn profile or your Instagram or Facebook profile, is to get some professional headshots. Now, I spent, I think, $200 on getting some headshots, and I was able to come away with about 50 or 60 images that I can use throughout my platforms. Now, when you have clear images that you can use and they showcase what you look like in a professional manner, it's going to really help people to see you in that light. So rather than just being in your casual wear at home, if you can get some professional headshots, it's going to really do wonders for you in the design elements that you can create. And I'll show you those in a moment, but you don't have to spend $200. I know that there are a lot of headshot days that photographers do. So if you were to Google headshot day Melbourne or Sydney, you would be able to find some that are happening. And sometimes you can get 10 to 15 images, which is really all that you need, for maybe $50 to $100. And it's just going to be such an asset that you can have, because even if you get asked to do a talk or a presentation at work, having a professional image like this is going to be awesome. And so you don't panic having to try and, take one that's not so great. Just get some professional images. It's going to really, you'll use them, I promise you. All right. The second one is create a personal mission statement. And a lot of people struggle to do this. So I just want to give you a super simple formula to be able to follow. So, and I'll give you a couple of examples, but I'm blank and I'm a blank I work with or I help so they can. This is a really good one for you to follow. So for example, I'm Amy Bett and I am a business coach. I work with females, women entrepreneurs, teaching them how to master their money, manage their money, master their mindset, and grow passive income online so that they can live happy, healthy, and wealthy lives. See how that's really simple, but you get a really good idea about who I am and what I do. Here are some other examples. I'm Mark and I'm a business strategist who helps small companies grow big by quickly uncovering what's not working so they can focus on what does. Alison, and I'm a web and app project specialist helping aspiring digital entrepreneurs realize their ideas' full potential and impact. And then I'm Sally and I'm a cybersecurity analyst. I specialize in preventing bad things from happening to good businesses so they can keep things running smoothly. We might be able to send you the slides here so that you can just follow that formula if you don't have a mission statement for yourself right now, so that you can quickly write one up. If you can make it a couple of paragraphs, that's great. So it can be closer to the Amara 2 or 3 or 4 paragraphs. That is awesome. However, even just a snapshot like that, a couple of sentences, you can put that on your Instagram profile, on your Facebook page. People just quickly understand you in a professional light, and what you care about. So hopefully that helps. So the first one was to get some professional headshots. The second one is to create a mission statement for yourself. Number 3 is content pillars. So you know how I said before that you might need to create some content for your LinkedIn and for your social profiles to really be seen as a leader in your industry and to go above and beyond. If you do this, you're actually going to put yourself into the top 10% of employees, because most of the time people do not bother to do this. And so they're going to be in, the long list of applicants. If you put effort into actually creating a personal brand online, you're going to put yourself right up to the top. So it's really cool. But often people say to me, how do we figure out what to talk about? I don't know what to talk about. Okay, so let's talk about content pillars super quickly. Okay, so what is content pillar? Essentially, content pillars are 3 to 5 topics that you will talk about consistently. You'll discuss them, amplify them, and create content on social media. As social media strategist Christina Galbardo explains, you might hear them called content categories or content buckets, but they all mean the same thing. So let me go a little bit deeper, and a way that you can figure out what your content buckets are and how you can quickly organize or think about some topics to talk about. I want to quickly talk about how your values often come into helping you to realize what your content pillars are. So without question, the best way to truly feel connected to your best self in and out of the workplace is to have a strong understanding about what you dearly value. What is your purpose? What is a big picture of what you're trying to achieve? And what do you want to be known as? Now, when I was first asked to do a values exercise, I thought it was going to be so boring. I used to be like, oh, values, strengths, boring, can't be bothered. It takes effort. It makes me think about things. Anyway, I was so wrong. Once I did my values exercise, it became really clear to me what I care about, what areas I should work in, what I need to quickly change to make myself happy. If I'm feeling a bit blah in life, I can go, oh God, these are my values. It's clear to see that I'm not actually doing anything towards my values right now. And what we value is what we love to talk about as well. So I'm going to give you an example. I care about business. I care about mums who work. I'm a working mum with 3 kids. So I often love to talk about productivity hacks and when it sucks being a mum at working, just little tips and tricks that you can do to get organized in the home and to get as much of a balance as you can with kids and working and having a business. And working mums, you are just as seen there, even if it's not your business, you're working, it's the same thing. Mindset. I love talking about how a positive and abundant mindset will actually change the outcome of your life. Okay. So they are my 3 content pillars. And I actually figured them out. One, by doing my values. Family was a really great value of mine. And so incorporating that with business was important. And then mindset, I care about mindset. Okay. So I want to give you a quick tip about how to actually work out what to talk about. So if you write down business, write down your 3 content pillars: business, mums who work, mindset. Mums who work. Okay, let's just quickly use that one. Mums who work. It might be productivity, getting out the door on time, when it sucks, when it's great, kid funny stories, what they said. You just write down little dot points of all the things that come under that content pillar. And all of those little dot points become posts that you can talk about on your social platforms and your LinkedIn. Now, it's always good to have one of the content pillars as your actual job role. And if you don't know what your job role is yet, just think about the industry that you're wanting to get in and what you care about that industry. Why do you want to work in that industry? What fascinates you? Make that one of your content pillars, and then write down all of the things that you care about that, and then they become your posts. So I'm speeding through this and I'm so sorry. I'd really love to talk to you about it and help you to navigate what your content pillars are, but just time is just not on my side today. So we're going to send you 1, the slides, but 2, here is a values exercise that you can complete. It's super quick and it will just really help you to understand what you care about, and it'll help you to come up with content that you can start posting on your LinkedIn profiles, and then obviously a good blend of personal life and professional. Okay, that's the balance. You want people to understand the whole you, and a good way to do that is talking about your personal life and your professional life and how you blend the 2. Awesome. Last thing I want to quickly show you is your brand kit. Now, we've spoken about having professional headshots. We've spoken about your mission statement. We've spoken about how to write content or how to create content. The last thing is, how do you deliver the content? How do you actually put it out there? And a really great hack is to use the Brand Kit by Canva. I don't know if any of you use Canva, but if you have the Pro subscription, it's actually probably one of the best subscriptions that you can ever have. So it's worth, I think it's $15 a month or something. However, you can make great tiles and images really super quickly by using Canva, and then especially their Brand Kit. So I want to give you an example. So say you want to talk about mum life and you want to create a post about it. I'm just going to move my screen. And please put in the chat if you've heard about the Canva Brand Kit before. And sorry if my pictures are in the way. I'm just trying to share my screen with you quickly. Okay, this is the Canva Brand Kit. You can see here, you just go to the home button and then down, you scroll down to the Brand Kit, okay? This is where you can save your logos if you have them. You can choose fonts that you really like, and then you can have your color palette. Now, if you don't have any of these things, you can go into a Canva design, and on the left-hand side, when it comes to templates, it will show you a whole heap of colors and fonts that work together, and you can choose something that you really like, and then you can upload the colors into the Brand Kit here. I think there's even a function there that you can just right-click it and choose them as your fonts. That means, and the reason it's good to do this is because it's good to create consistency and show an overall presence of who you are. And that also correlates with the way that you show yourself visually online. So if you choose colors that you love and fonts that you like and you're consistent, people are going to get an understanding about what you look like online as well, and how you like to portray yourself. And I guess it gives you that creative flair as well. So it seems like a lot to do, but it's not when you create little hacks like this. And so using the Canva Brand Kit is a great way to do that. Okay, so we've got 3 more minutes. And so I just want to give you a couple of examples. All right, so see here, I've got my color palettes, I've got some fonts, and then what you can actually do once you've got your Brand Kit set up is, say that you want to come over into Canva here. You go to, sorry, I'll move that out of the way. You go down to templates and you choose a template that you might like, and then you go down to styles here and see how the Brand Kit elements are automatically in Canva. So I'm going to quickly show you how I can change this picture to be my brand in a few clicks. Okay, so I click the brand Amy branding color palette, and it changes the colors to be within my colors, and I can click the fonts and it changes the fonts as well, and I can quickly chuck the image in there, take off the background, put in my writing, and then it's done. Okay, see how quickly you can create graphics that then just look at your brand. To give you an example, here is Claire Woodcoach. She does a really good job of this. You can see she has a cohesive look online. So she uses a mix of normal imagery, but when she's talking about something that she cares about, which is money, she uses graphics that have the same colors, the same fonts, and yet she has the same look and feel. So her page is very cohesive, and it just really helps to up level her content. It doesn't actually take long to do this once you understand the hacks and what I just showed you. So it's a really worthwhile thing to put in the extra effort, make your personal brand look good with some colors and fonts and a logo, I guess, that you don't have to have a logo, but yeah, a logo that represents you, what you care about, and how you want to look online. Now, they're just some super quick examples. Another way that you can do it as well is just a LinkedIn banner. You can do a LinkedIn banner. They're in the templates. I did this quick example. I literally spent 5 minutes quickly changing the colors, adding in my image and changing the fonts. So literally you can do things super quickly. It won't take you very long. All right. Now I'm going to go back to my slides, wrap this up, because I think it's now time for questions and answers. And so I'm so sorry that this was super quick, but again, I'm going to ask Blake to send you out the presentation that I've done if you want to go a little bit further, and I've got some exercises that you can do with this as well. So basically, to wrap up, really, when it comes to organizing your personal brand or thinking about building a personal brand, the steps are: have a look, do a digital audit of yourself, see what you've already put out online, see if you can create some new content, get some professional headshots, and create yourself a brand kit of colors and fonts, and quickly put together some templates on Canva. and you will basically be on your way to being in that top 10% of candidates that really will be seen as a leader going above and beyond. And I can bet your bottom dollar that you absolutely be more attractive to secure a role in the industry that you really love. So thank you so much. I'll bring it on to Blake now to do some questions and answers if anybody has any questions.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Amy. I'm not going to lie. I quickly looked at my LinkedIn profile as you were talking about it, and I definitely have a few things I need to update. So yeah,
it happens.
Better about me, that sort of stuff. I need to look. Luckily, I have a job right now with Stone and Shore because I think I need to update that sort of stuff. But yes, questions and answers. And we've been fortunate. Kelly has put a question into the chat box, and Kelly says, in relation to a traditional CV, could you use your personal brand statement as a quick intro rather than a wordy paragraph?
You absolutely can. Yes, on the top paragraph on your CV, you can use your mission statement. I'd probably flesh it out to be like, 2 or 3 sentences if you don't want to have a huge wordy statement. The one thing I want to say though is don't get trapped into thinking that your resume needs to be colorful and have lots of imagery and have tables on your CV, because that is actually the opposite thing that you need to do to be able to move through some of the software. I'm not sure if Robert will talk about that in the next session, but make sure that your resume is just your standard black and white resume, left to right writing. And I know it sounds really bland and you want to stand out, but for most companies, especially in the startup space, they have software, and your resume is not even going to be seen if it can't be read by the software. So it sounds like soul destroying by having to stick to the rules when it comes to looking at your resume, but that's where your personal brand will come into it. And so if you can highlight yourself, putting up your LinkedIn and your social profile so people can get an understanding of who you are, because they will stalk you. That is absolutely for sure.
In the nicest way possible. Everyone will stalk you when you're going through it. It's just what happens in this day and age, isn't it? With the whole social platforms and online presence, it's really becoming paramount to make it as best as possible, as you've just described. So thank you very much, Amy. It was amazing. Everyone who's on the call, if you'd like to thank Amy in the chat box for her time today. As she said, we will share some slides and we will share some more information from her that will help you guys build your online brand and presence and hopefully land you those jobs that you guys are seeking. So thank you very much again, Amy. We will let you go. We'll move on to our second workshop.
Great. Thank you. And I'll stop my share.
All good. There we go. Now, I'd like to introduce everyone to Robert Cunyo. Robert, welcome to the call. We've got a fair few people on the line already, so feeling the love, obviously. A lot of thanks there for Amy and a lot of engagement when we asked people to put it in the chat box. Robert is an absolute gun when it comes to smashing your job interview, and obviously building your brand is what we want these workshops to work in synergy. So taking all of the tips and tricks from both Amy and Robert to hopefully land you that dream job. So Robert, I'll throw it over to you. Welcome.
Thanks. I really appreciate it and really excited to be here. But just before I start, I too wish to acknowledge and express my respect to the traditional custodians of the lands on which all of us are located in doing this workshop. It's really great to be here, and I'll just a couple of comments there that Amy said, which are really important about CV. She's 100% correct. When you submit a CV for a job role, when you're actually applying, I think it should just be black and white. It should be just printed, nothing fancy, because in Australia, in America definitely, but in Australia we're starting to move in this direction as well, where CVs get scanned, and if you don't have the right words, and if you have pictures and colors and tables, then that's just going to be overridden and you're not going to be seen. So really simple, plain CVs when applying. But you can have a thing called a marketing CV, which is the flashier looking one, which is a CV structured with color, with tables, with a photo of yourself. The purpose of that CV is simply to have something to hand out when you go networking or when you're speaking to people, or when someone says to you, hey, send me a CV and I'll keep you on file. So what I advise my clients is to always have 2 CVs. So just to put that to bed before I forget. Just a little bit about myself in a nutshell. As I said, my name's Rob. I'm a career coach, have been a career coach for 8 years now. And I work with professionals between 25 and 45 who are looking for their dream career. Everything I do stems around my key value and my most important value of career happiness. We expect to be happy in life, and I argue that work is part of life. So if you're not happy in life, in work, how can the rest of your life be positive? So I'm all about dream career and career happiness. Just give me a sec, because this workshop now is going to transition into what I'm focusing on, which is interview process and interview skills and how to smash that job interview. And I'm going to do it a bit differently. What I'm going to ask you to do, I'm just sharing my screen with you. So what I'm asking you to do is just connect up with menti.com, either use the QR code or use the traditional form. Excellent. Everyone logged in? Let's get started. So let me close that. What I want you to do is just type into your phone or your laptop, whatever method you clicked in, and there you go. You're all working it out. I'll give you 30 seconds. You can even write a couple of words if you like. So let's get in there. Let's give it some thought. What is the first reaction when you hear the words, congratulations, you have a job interview? Cool. Look at that. Fantastic. All right, if we stop through, have a look. If we stop now, just have a quick look at the type of words you can see there. Most of these words, negative. There's stress, there's homework, there's anxious, there's hopeful, there's daunting. There are some positive words, but it's interesting. I've been reading a lot of research in interview skills at the moment and interview techniques. And one of the things that all the research is showing, that people's initial reaction to being offered a job interview is excitement. It's a positive emotion. But then what follows is this whole wave of negativity of, oh my God, I'm nervous. Am I good enough? Do I know what to do? What do I have to do? What are they going to ask me? What if I'm no good? So it's really interesting that people have this immediate reaction. And there's a clear reason for that. There's a clear reason why we have this negative reaction. And what I'm on the next slide that I'm going to ask you is we're going to start to uncover that. So slide number one, the first thing is that if you hear the words job interview and you have a bit of a negative reaction to it, you're in the majority, you're in the 80%. Those people who are completely, always totally excited about the job interview and never worried and never fearful, I would say those people are probably not being 100% truthful, because I believe it's really important to feel some anxiety because it drives positive behavior. But let's move on to the next slide. So still focusing on mindset, the purpose of a job interview is, you have 4 answers in front of you. Go for it. Give me some answers. I'm so pleased people are, and also ticking number 2. So we're getting an overwhelming leaning towards to see if you are a good fit with the company and team. And that is 100% correct. So going back to something that Amy said earlier about employers looking for people who can represent their brands and who represent what they represent. What we need to understand about job interviews is job interviews are totally focused on the fit. If you are invited to a job interview, that means the employer believes that you are skilled enough to do the job, that you have the skills to do the job. The purpose of the job interview is to see if you fit, to see if you are the right person for the organization. So what can you do about this? How does this impact on your nervousness, and how does this impact on your anxiety? Most people that I speak to, and most of the people that I coach in this particular skill set, come to me, and when I ask them, when you go to a job interview, what are you feeling? And their response is, it feels like a test. I feel like I have to do well. And that right there is the key root problem of the mindset, because that is based in a belief that the job interview that they're going to test in the job interview, they're going to test my knowledge, and they're going to test my skill sets in doing the job. But that's not what they do. What the job interview generally does is it tests whether you fit, and it tests your behavior. That's why job interviews are predominantly based on behavioral questions. And how do you recognize a behavioral question? You recognize a behavioral question because it usually starts with, tell us a time, or have you ever seen this situation, or what would you do if this happened? So what employers are looking for in the interview is to see whether you answer those questions, and the way you answer those questions fit with their values, their mission, and what they believe is important, or what they want their employees to represent. So tip number one, or hack number one, is the purpose of the interview is to see if you are a good fit. So walk into an interview with the confidence knowing that the people interviewing believe you can do the job. So focus on the fit aspect. Okay, moving on to the next question. Now we get into preparation. The first thing you should do to prepare for an interview is go for it. I'll give you another 30 seconds if anyone else wants, or 10 seconds if anyone else wants to contribute. Okay, this one's going to shock you, I think. Correct answer. Prepare your career success stories. I can understand why people believe the first step of preparation for an interview is check the website or read the job description. However, let's go back to my previous point. My previous point was be prepared for behavioral questions. So one thing that really is an effective way to calm your nerves and give you the confidence to speak in an interview is actually knowing your career success stories, because your career success stories show you at your best. And people say, but I don't get the opportunity to walk into an interview where people say, tell me a time you're successful, or tell us your greatest success. What they do is tell us a time you've done this. But in all of your career stories, you should be able to link the behavioral question to that success, because the success is not based on one thing you did. So if you know how you achieve success in a particular project or a particular contract or a particular job role, or when you're leading a team, if you can tell that story in answering the questions you get asked, that is the most persuasive way of, one, showing your values, two, showing how you connect with the business, and three, showing how you fit and how you achieve things. Once you have your career stories clear in your head, then by all means, read the job description, read the company website, understand the values and the mission of the business. And once you have mastered all of that, go out and party for a little bit, just not the night before the interview. Moving on to the next question. Performance. In the interview, is it okay, advisable even, to have prepared notes in front of you to prompt your answers, ask for clarification if you don't understand a question, take a moment before answering each question, share with the panel your financial terms? So which of these are okay? And I'll give you a clue. There's more than one right answer, so feel free to go nuts. This question seems to have sparked a nerve. Many more answers. Okay. the correct answer. Indeed, there are 3 correct answers. Going back to that mentality that most people have about an interview feeling like a test. The reality is it's not a test. An interview is your opportunity to have a conversation with your prospective employer, just like they are having a conversation with you. It's also more than fine to have prompt notes in front of you when answering a question. Nowadays, with most interviews being done online, it's actually quite easy to hide those notes if you want to. So having prepared notes in front of you to prompt your answers and to prompt your thoughts is really valuable, especially when your adrenaline is running. The higher your adrenaline, the lower our recall. So if you have something written in front of you that is able to prompt your answer, well, then that is not only acceptable, I would say vital. So I encourage all of my clients to have written notes in front of them. Asking for clarification is vital. Probably not after every question, but if there's clearly a question that you just don't understand what they're getting at, rather than try to guess and come up with something off the top of your head, it's more valuable and more important, and indeed respected by the interview panel, if you just stop and say, sorry, don't quite understand that question. Can you please clarify? And that also shows that you're there to have a conversation with them and that you're not there at their beck and call just to answer anything they ask you. Okay. Now, the fourth one is the third point there. Take a moment before answering the question. In the techniques that I use to coach my clients for interview skills, one of the things I coach them in is consciously taking a deep breath before answering each question. And this does 2 really vital things. One, it gives you that split second to just get your thoughts in order. It gives you that split second to take the question being asked and linking it to your success story so you can give a really structured answer that meets the question being asked. Now, you can't answer the question being asked if you don't know what that question is. So it's important to be clear that you understand the question and then take that moment just to structure your thoughts. The second reason why it's important to take a breath is it calms your adrenaline, it calms your nerves, because the last thing you want to do is start to answer a question like this. Oh, yeah, that's a really good question. Yeah, thanks for that question. And you're sounding like Mickey Mouse. Taking that breath just allows you to get calm into your answer, into your own mind, by bringing down your adrenaline levels. So absolutely take a breath and take a moment, and don't be rushed into answering a question, because it's not an exam, there's no time limit, and it's not a race. There's no gold medal if you answer the question first. Okay, just for the people who answered there, share with the panel your financial terms. My suggestion is not to do that at all at the interview point, because the interview point is not where you start to negotiate salary. And indeed, mentioning that at that point may actually exclude you from the next stage of interview processes. So what I really suggest is you save the financial negotiations for when you're offered a contract, not anytime during any interview process, unless they specifically ask you, how much money do you want? In that case, yes, you need to express what you're looking for. But generally, my experience and the experience of all of my clients has been, is you're not asked that question during an interview. You might be asked generally, what do you expect to be paid? But it's not a negotiation. It's not a point of drawing a line in the sand, because one of the key things you do in an interview, what the interview allows you to do, is to start to build that rapport and show that you're trusted, that you fit, that you are the sort of employee that business wants representing them. So 3 key hacks. Mindset, be positive. Go into the interview with the clear understanding that the purpose of the interview is to see if you fit, but also be thinking about whether the business fits with you. And quite often, a lot of my clients, once they're coached through the right technique, quite often my clients will walk out of an interview and go, I really did well in that interview, but I wouldn't work for them for come hell or high water, because what they've learned from the questions being asked is, I don't like those questions. I don't like those values that they are projecting. So a client of mine who was a leader actually asked at the end of the interview, what's your leadership style? And basically the answer given by the manager that he was going to report to was that you do what I say. And his style is about coaching and guiding people. So he knew straight away this wasn't going to work. So he excluded himself. He said, thank you very much. I'll withdraw, because the interview gave him the opportunity to discover that. So open-minded in an interview, it's a conversation. It's not a test. Tip number 2, be prepared. At the very least, know your own success stories. That's your start point. Then move on to understanding the company culture. And tip number 3, there's a whole range of tips, but be open and have props. A client of mine who sat an interview yesterday and she smashed it out of the park, she actually took pen and paper and wrote down key words that she was being asked in the question. She told the panel she was going to do that. And the panel responded to her by saying, wow, that's a great idea. We haven't seen that before. So by that little action, she's already shown that she's a little bit different and that she's engaged the panel in a positive manner. So take your props so that way you can answer the questions that they ask you. Take props so you can recall your success stories with trigger words. And I would always suggest at the end of each interview, take with you 2 or 3 questions that you want to ask the panel about the job role that's not necessarily related to financial terms. Okay, so they're my hacks, and I hope you found them useful. If you want to get in touch, there's my email address, robert@futureyoucoaching.com.au, my website, where you can actually book yourself a free 40-minute conversation, is futureyoucoaching.com.au. I'm on LinkedIn, and I also have a podcast called Love What You Do, where I interview people who have gone through career transitions and what drove them. There's some magnificent stories there. Also starting a new pod series called Know What to Do, which will focus on providing tips like these to people looking for career change and looking for career happiness. So thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to some answers. I'll just stop sharing the screen for a moment.
Thank you so much, Robert. That was fantastic. It's the same thing as Amy. Obviously, she gives some tips, you give some tips. I start thinking myself, geez, I need to go and have a look and review how I do job interviews and my LinkedIn profile, etc. So thank you very much for that. We do have, I believe it's a question from Pari, how to show up, or it's probably more so, how would you show up to a senior level role interview confidently despite having a couple of years gap due to uncontrollable circumstances? Because most often interviews look like an interrogation rather than assessing cultural fit.
Okay, so interviews feel like an interrogation if you let it. So here we're back to exam, interrogation versus conversation. So first point, a lot of my clients actually say to me, I found it really helpful, Rob, to go in going, I'm interviewing them. So shifting the power towards them. And people have found that helpful. So point number 1, understand it's a conversation. It's got boundaries around it, and it's done in a certain way. So it's not like a conversation with a mate at the pub or friends at a restaurant, but it's still a conversation where you have the right, the ability, and you should have the integrity to respond back and ask questions back of the panel. Secondly, anything in your career, even gaps, and I spend a lot of time with my clients working on the gap, because a lot of us have had gaps during COVID. As long as there's a valid and authentic story for that reason, then most employers will be comfortable with the gap. And remember, even if you've got a 2-year gap in your CV, if you are in an interview, guess what they're telling you? We believe you can do the job. So the gap is not really scaring them off, so don't let it put you off. That would be my response.
That's fantastic. No, it makes so much sense considering everything you've mentioned in the workshop. And to that, I think it's just got here, Pradeep has raised his hand. I'm not sure if he can talk, but Pradeep, if you've got a question, feel free to chuck it into the chat and we can ask Robert right now. Might give it a couple of, don't know if that was on purpose, raise hand or question. I think how the webinar is set up is that you guys won't actually have your videos and mics. So if you do have a question,
just put in the chat box. I'm looking right now, so feel free.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
Let's give him a second.
Another one. Yeah. But yeah, it just makes so much sense. I'm replaying a lot of like job interviews that I've been to in the past. Why I didn't get them, why I did get it, what worked, what didn't work. You dissect it. It's human nature to dissect
and that's and you just raised something really interesting. One of the things that calms nerves, and one of the things I coach in my coaching program, is having a system for answering the question. And there are different systems for different levels. So if you're applying for a sort of a standard job or a bottom level, so you're a graduate, then I coach my people into using a system called CAR or PAR, which is identify the problem, what actions did you take, and what results did you get out of that? And if you think system, it actually takes the nerves away, because you can then almost put together, a bit like Amy showed how to write that mission statement. You just fill in the gaps. If you're going for a low level or into a management or leadership type role, then I suggest and encourage my clients to use the STAR method. Both of those are Googleable. You don't have to come find me. You don't have to spend money when not necessary. But what is necessary is practicing that technique and practicing those questions, practicing your answers. Actually say them out loud, because what you say in your head and what you hear when you speak, two different things every time.
Definitely. I think, I'm not sure if Pradeep got in there, but Maria has asked that she finds it difficult to ask questions in interviews. Any tips?
Them down. Have them. So what are the two things you want to know? So and sometimes these are simple. So here are some tips, Maria. You can write these down right now. A really valuable question that you could ask, which gives you a lot of information, is, can you please tell me what a day in the life of the person doing this job looks like? Or can you tell me what success looks like? Or can you tell me, how does the team interact and communicate? Or you can ask, can you tell me about the leadership role that the manager uses? Or you could ask, is this a new position, or is this position being filled because someone left? All of these give you really powerful pieces of information. To be clear, the question is not really that important. It's you asking the question. It's that action which shows your engagement and your commitment and your thinking. That's what the panel loves. They really couldn't care what question you ask, so long as it's not, hey, how much money am I going to get? That one doesn't go well, so it doesn't go down so well.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I've definitely heard somewhere that it's a job interview, and that situation is just as much them, interviewing you as you are to them. Very much. Yeah. You treat it like that, I'm sure you'll both get something out of it, and look, hopefully land the job in the end. That's the main thing, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Robert, thank you so much for your time. It's been super insightful, super helpful to everyone on this call. So thank you so much for joining us. As we said with Amy, if there's any other contact details or information that you guys would like from Robert, we will have the ability to send that through to you guys. Obviously, he shared his contact details as well. So please feel free to reach out to him. I'm sure he'll be more than happy to help. So Robert, thank you very much. Won't keep you any longer.
For those people who look me up, they sometimes make the mistake of writing the word future. So if you can see over my shoulder, it's future and the letter U, coaching, and that will land you in my workspace.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Robert.
Thank you. It's been great.
Thank you. I have a couple more announcements for the guys on the line, for all of the attendees. 2 announcements that we have some really awesome events coming up. The first one, on Tuesday, the 5th of July, we have our Talent Jam, which is a speed networking session. So now you've got all of the information, critical information to up your resume, your interview skills. We are giving you guys the opportunity to sit in front of some startup founders who have some job vacancies right now. This could be across business, marketing, software, all of the areas and the categories of jobs that someone could go for, but it's specifically with our startup founders. So it's super exciting. We've had a fair few businesses and startups already come to us saying we want to join. So we are going to put you face to face in front of them at our Tuesday, the 5th of July event. We can send you some information. It's between 5:30 p.m. to 7:30. So just after work or schooling, hopefully. So that's a really good one coming up. Also, it's a couple of months away, but Thursday, the 4th of August, we are doing our basement debate. It's Stone and Chalk's basement debate. We are putting the question out there. What is more important to companies and startups, product or people? It's a very interesting question. Survey will probably yield 50-50 results. And that's the best thing, to get some experts in those fields going head to head for an event called the Basement Debate. That's happening on Thursday, the 4th of August, 5:30 p.m. to 7:30. We can send you some information about that as well. And then also 2 more quick things. We have the Start Smart Academy, which is a self-paced online learning program designed to walk alongside you as you explore a career in startups. It's a 12-module course designed to support you for your first job application to your first week. These modules are introductions to startups, so the whole ecosystem and industry in general, provide an overview of startup jargon. It really does build that information from the ground up, and it's super, super insightful and helpful for you guys. So the Start Smart Academy is very worth its time signing up for that. We can give you some information on that as well post-event. And the last one, why we're here, Pivott is our jobs platform. Pivott is a free program designed to empower your startup career journey with a supportive learning academy, as we've just said, curated workshops, which you've just done, and other events, as I've just mentioned, coming up. All of these make up our Pivott platform, and it gives you access to endless jobs and help from us. It focuses on startups and scale-ups to advertise those roles that I just mentioned. These could be developer roles, sales, product, support, marketing, anything like that. So we can send you the information to sign up to our Pivot platform. It's absolutely free, and you can scan them and see if there's any job vacancies that you would like to apply for. So thank you so much, everyone. That is all the announcements from me. Really appreciate you logging on to enjoy the workshops with Amy and Robert. Hope to see you at another event coming up. Thank you very much.